My name's Ben, I'm the electrical supervisor at Elite Renewables. This is a PV job, battery job and EV charger. Yes, we've got 17 solar panels going up on various roofs. We've got 3 different roofs on this job. And we've got some conduit drops coming down, being fed from the gateway. And then we've got a battery system going in, which is going to be down the back passage, which we'll go through to in a sec. And we've got an EV charger going in as well. We've got Canadian solar panels, which are 440 watts. And we've got Sigenergy battery, which is going to be a 5 kilowatt hour system with 5 kilowatt inverter. And we've got a Myenergi Zappi charger. Access has been a bit problematic, although we're going to overcome it. It's one of our little hurdles at the minute. So it's a bit tight down the passageway, and we'll walk through that in a sec. Actually getting the equipment up on the scaffold is going to be the toughest part of this job, I'd say. But apart from that, it's all round pretty straightforward job. So as you can see, access is a little tight down here, probably just a bit more than shoulder width. So getting the equipment down here, also ourselves, and cable runs down here is probably the hardest part of this job at the moment, but we're making good progress. We've got some conduit up on the wall already. We've got some routing either side of these chimney stacks up higher level. This area here is going to be back to back with our gateway internally, and we're going to be coming out and splitting off for various things, i.e. the EV charger is going off down that way, the battery is going to go off down that way, and then we've got a single run for the PV, which starts off together and then it splits off for various roofs. So always, just so you know, we mark like a govern line. So once we've got the laser on, that's our govern line. So should we ever lose it, we can always come back to that line, and then we know we've just got to set it up against that. Finding life up here.
Yeah, it's fun.
Say it with a bit more enthusiasm, bro. I can't use it otherwise.
It's overbent in a minute, but that's a good thing because it can always pull out. I'd rather it overbent than underbent.
Yeah, cool.
Then you've got the fun job of pulling that spring out. Good.
Sweet.
About there? Yeah, about there. There's a bit of wiggle room in there. Here's one of our roofs. So we've got 3 solar panels going in portrait across here. It just pretty much maximises this roof. It's not a huge roof and a bit of a chimney in the way, so we'll try and avoid that. Here's our flat roof where we've got 4 solar panels going on, which are going on a Van der Valk system, which is just a ballasted system that sits on the flat roof. Then across here, this is where the main bulk of the PV panels are going. So we've got a string, I believe, of 10 across this roof, which are going to drop down in between the chimney breasts, bank up top, and then one channel either side. This is where we're going to be installing the Sigenergy HomeMax gateway, which is basically a backup capability of the property. So if you lose any grid power for whatever reason, i.e. there's a power cut in the road, then the backup gateway will kick itself in. It's almost a UPS system, so it's seamless. Then it will start drawing power from the batteries and supplying the property rather than from the grid. This is the gateway itself. As you can see, it's quite a large unit, so trying to house these in property sometimes is a little bit difficult. So a lot goes into the planning side of stuff and, you know, working ahead of the job just to make sure that we can fit these in appropriate places. Luckily, this place, we've got a nice big cupboard behind us, which is going to house it perfectly. Inside this is where all the brains are, which we've got various contactors and switchgear to supply different circuits, i.e. 2 battery systems. You can have an EV charger off of these. We've got the home, the backup side of it. We've also got a smart port, so it gives you even more control of the system. Should the battery drop below a certain percentage, then we can only supply, or we can choose to supply the smart port as opposed to the backup side. And that's pretty much that. But the inside of that is where all the brains are really. Fortunately, we haven't designed ourselves, but it's a good system. So we chose the Sigenergy system on this property because they weren't sure on the total battery capacity they was after at the time. And with the Sigenergy, they've got a modular system, so you can build the battery up to 6 units per controller, which will give them a total of maximum 48 kilowatts, which this property's only gone for 5 at the moment, I believe, which means they've still got capability in the future to expand if they want to. Right, so this is our space that we've got to work with, which is actually quite a substantial space, funnily enough, as opposed to some other places can be a bit tighter, but this is an ideal scenario. So what we need to do is try and locate the gateway within this cupboard and also work out the switchgear required for the certain or various circuits, which is solar, the battery, the EV charger. Also, following on from our other videos, is this is back to back with the alleyway. So this is why this has been the chosen spot, and it gives us clear access in and out, which is good for our cable runs and also keeps everything external, which saves too much hassle in the property. Because we're going back to back, don't need too much trunking at all, so we're going to be drilling out and exposing the holes for outside. So we're going to be coming rear entry into this trunking, so it's going to be a bit of a seamless finish. Just getting the fixings ready at this point for the trunking before Josh drills through from the other side, which we've just chosen our spots. And I've got to wait for him to drill those through before I get the trunking on the wall, so I'm not entirely sure where they're going to come through yet. Look at him go, you want to get this. Right, yeah, so a couple of comms through there, it's a plan. Towels up through here, it's a plan. EV out of that one, PV, and then we've got the battery. So we're all drilled out, which is good. Good stage, means I can get this fixed back now, get the gateway on the wall. Start marking out for the glands. So we're constantly sizing things up with this, so we have to put it onto the wall, take it off of the wall, mark out, take it back off sometimes to re-drill, just working it out. So it takes a little bit of time and thought. Alright, she's bang on. Time to go on. Make sure the door opens, which she does perfectly, as planned. All right, so welcome back. Since the last time you were here, we've managed to install the battery, get the solar panels up on the roof. So I'll just talk you through the battery system quickly. So we've got Sigenergy 5.38 kilowatt usable at the moment, which is modular design, which can be extended up to 6 units per inverter. So we can get right away up to a max peak of 48 kilowatt hours storage. But at this point, they just decided to stick with a 5 and then see how they get on for the next year or so. Then we can always add on to it if need be, which is a great thing about this system. Today we've just been commissioning the system, which is just getting it all up and running. We've done the background sort of wiring, we've got things wired and set up, and now it's a turning on process. We've had it up and running now for about 30 minutes. So what it entails is just going through some settings, setting up some parameters for the client as to usable capacity, whether they want to save 20% storage, etc. Because they've got the backup functionality, they might not want to use all of the battery and save some there for a rainy day if you like. But at the moment we've gone for full capacity, which is 5 kilowatts. So last time we were here we had the gateway starting to go on the wall, but in the meantime we've been back and have actually wired it completely. So we've got a few different suppliers coming off of this. We've got the EV charger, we've got the Sigenergy battery, and we've also got the solar PV coming off it. And off the gateway directly is going off to the rest of the consume units, which are down below here. So as you can see inside, it's all fully labelled up at this point. So we've got one spare way should we need it in the future for any more Sigenergy systems, i.e. another inverter and battery system. EV charger, Sigenergy battery, and then the house consume units are coming off of the backup. Surge protection in here, which protects the whole property from any over voltages or surges should they arise. And then we've got a solar circuit over here. But basically what this does is if in the event of a power cut and you do lose the grid, then this will snap back into place and give some power from the battery. So this is the Myenergi Zappi, one of the EV chargers that we regularly install. The primary function of it really is that it's compatible with the solar, which is key. So there's a couple of functions on it, but ideally we leave it in a setting called Eco Plus. So it picks up on any surplus heading back to the grid, which then is redirected into the car, which we ask the clients to leave the car plugged in continuously so that it can do so.
If you're thinking about a heat pump, solar, battery, MVHR or air conditioning for your property, then contact us at Elite Renewables. You can give us a ring on 020 8706 0056 or you can contact us through our website at eliterenewables.co.uk. We make the process really simple, so we'll have an initial chat where we'll be able to give you a ballpark estimate for your project. We'll then send one of our technical team over to your property to visit you, to understand the property in a bit more detail and to conduct a detailed survey so that we can give you an exact quote. Contact us by giving us a ring or dropping us an email through our website today.